what's up, everyone? This is Screen Smash, CouchSoup's video game podcast, where we talk about all things in and around the world of games. You can catch us every Friday at 12 noon PST over at YouTube/CouchSoup. Or you can get us a day early as a Soup Spud member over at CouchSoup.com. And you can, of course, listen to the show anywhere podcasts are available. I'm your host, Dan Morris, and tonight I have a special guest, Keith Mitchell, joining us.
What's up, everybody?
What up, Keith? Keith here is the founder of Outer Haven, an independent gaming entertainment outlet, and he's hopelessly addicted to video games, mechs, and can't get his head out of Armored Core 6, as you
That is
said.
true. That is very true. That game is so much fun. It's so... I'm a big Souls-like fan. I've been a big fan of Armored Core since the first one came out, and I've been waiting for Armored Core 6 to come out for so long. It finally came out, and I'm like, the merging of two great games together, and it's just like, I'm in heaven. I have to take breaks, but I really love that game. And I've been playing on PC, which has been From Software's best PC port because it has ultra-wide support as well.
Ooh.
Something we've been asking for like forever. So I'm sitting here playing, and it's like, wow, this looks so good. Even better than 4K. And I'm just looking at it and playing like, this is amazing. But of course, the signature Souls-like DNA from Software in here, fighting bosses to just kick the hell out of you, just nonstop until you sit back and you go, all right, look, I'm doing something wrong. I'm going about this the wrong way. I'm not using the correct weapon setup. And of course, once you change all that, the bosses they melt away. But yeah, I love that game. I cannot get enough. I've beaten it already, but I'm going to go through and finish the new game and New Game Plus because they changed the storyline as you play it again. So I really want to finish those new storylines.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't gotten quite that far yet in it because, of course, I'm playing a million games at once. And then, of course, I started playing Starfield over the weekend, which is the one thing that would pull me out of Armored Core because I've definitely been loving that game. We'll get into that a little bit further on here, but also want to make sure we say hello to our friends here, Michael Timmons.
What's going on?
And Josh Neff. Hello, boys.
How's it going?
My resident
boys.
Tekken experts.
I would say Tekken experts.
What? All right.
Enthusiasts.
Fun players, maybe.
You know more than I do. So in my opinion, you're an expert. Thank you for joining us here tonight, everyone. Thank you, Timmons and Josh, joining me tonight for this conversation. We're going to get to know Keith a little bit, what he does over at outerhaven.net. Probably going to dab a little bit more into Armored Core 6. And then we're going to talk about the upcoming Tekken 8, much why I have a panel of Tekken fans to get into it. So to get us started, Keith, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Outer Haven.
Well, I am the editor-in-chief of the Outer Haven, but I do more than that. Pretty much do everything under the sun except for anime and manga, because a certain person over there will kick my butt if I step into his realm. So I don't do those. But everything else I do, write reviews, write guides, do video. We haven't done a podcast in quite some time. We are actually trying to restructure that just because we want it to be the best that it can be. So we had a step back, which is kind of boring because I really like talking about games and stuff like that. So I'm also an IT professional. People don't know that about me. I've been in IT for 25 years. I'm a server administrator. I have a lot of gray hair for me in IT. Don't go in IT. You'll go crazy. But yeah, just like my intro says, I'm a big fan of Armored Core 6. Big fan of anything that's mecha, honestly. Big fan of anything mecha. I'm a loving father of two and a husband. And I'm wondering how I'm still here after 23 years. But make it work. I also like cars.
Nice.
Cars I can't afford. So,
But of course, if you could pick one dream car, what would it be?
R34 Skyline.
Nice.
And if I can't get that, then a Dodge Viper.
I would say a GTR is usually one of my go-tos.
I was actually in a GTR a couple of days ago. We went to the Nissan dealership and I looked at the price tag and I was like, $144,000. What? And the guy's like, we can try and do credit. I was like, nope.
No.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I got a mortgage. No.
Every time I play a racing game, the GTR is like one of my go-to. Like I have a bunch of like screenshots of my GTR in Forza Horizon 5 because that was just my baby for the longest time.
Yeah, I don't know what it was with the Skyline, but it was even before Fast and Furious. I know people were going to say, "Oh, because you like Fast and Furious." No, if you remember a company called Motor Rex years ago when I was in high school before Fast and Furious, they imported Skylines to the US. They disassembled them, reassembled them, all that fun stuff. I just love the Skyline. I just can't afford them.
Yeah. I feel you on that, brother. But I also feel you on the podcasting side of things. We kind of like just trip and fall our way through this every week because, like you, I love talking video games. I never get tired of this. It's my favorite thing in the world to do is sit here and talk video games and meet cool people who also want to talk about video games. It just never dies. It never goes away. So, yeah, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate that, sir.
No, thank you for having me.
Heck yeah, man. Absolutely. Happy to have you. I'm really looking forward to getting into things tonight. And I want to put out there, like, if we're going to talk about Armored Core, do we need to take a step back before we get into Armored Core and talk about what it means to be a smaller gaming outlet?
Oh, man. I mean, can I be honest about it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, I'm all for like the truth and honest and like let's be real. All of us here have experience with it. I mean, we're doing this for a pretty small outlet ourselves. So
okay, fair enough. I started Outer Haven with a couple other people years ago. Wow, it's been like 13, 14 years ago now. Before we did this, I used to run a gaming music website back in the day called shadowhaxer.net, where I would collect video game music and put them on it was a custom platform I built, everything from scratch. You know, it was a message board. It was, you can download any music you wanted to. And I never got in trouble by anybody with the exception of Nintendo. It was like, take off this Donkey Kong soundtrack, which was weird because I had tons of the Mario Brothers soundtracks. And they never bothered me. I never had a DCM. Yeah, never had a DCM ever. Just take off Donkey Kong. I ran it for years on end. People still ask me, am I still hosting? I'm like, no, I went legit, so I can't host it anymore. But we had a couple guys in there that was like, hey, let's start a podcast. And we did a podcast for a couple of months. And then we're like, we should start a outlet, a website. And I was like, we can't do that. That's impossible. We started it. And fast forward, here we are. Sadly, most of those people, no, all the people who started with me are gone. They left to do other things, which sucks because by myself, but I got a great crew. I would say the issues that I have being an independent outlet is twofold. I'm going to step on some people's toes. I'm not sorry. First is trying to get into the space, trying to get a hold of people to work with you. I will say there are a lot of great PR companies out there that don't care of your numbers, don't care what you've done. They will work with you. There's a lot of great ones out there. I don't want to mention their names because I'm not sure if they want me to do that or not, but there are a lot of ones out there. And then there are also terrible ones out there that are terrible at their job and they only care about numbers. One of those is PlayStation. I'm just going to put them out there. I've had several bad experiences with PlayStation. And I've talked to them multiple times, and I've talked to people who talk to them multiple times. And they come out pretty much saying, look, we'll only work with you if you have high numbers or if you're popular or you know somebody who is popular. And it's very terrible. I met with them, I want to say back in 2017 at E3. I met two different people, and then they were like, we will work with you. We will work with you. And then when you contact them, they pretty much ghost you. I've been going back and forth with one of their PR people for years. I even got to the one point I called them out for being a liar. And I was like, we never got the email. And I was like, here's the email that has a rejection on here. So I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. So there's a lot of bad. There's a lot of good. But the other thing is trying to find people in the space who will work with you. But I think a lot of people in this space feel like if they work with you or help you, then you will take some of their clout away, which is not cool. It's a bad thing. I've worked with a lot of independent people out there, a lot of independent websites, smaller people than the Outer Haven. And I've always done my best to help them. You know, if they ask for information, if they ask for, who should they go talk to, it doesn't make a difference. I will do everything that I can do to help them because this space is big enough for everybody. And it does make a difference if I introduce you to Sally at this PR company or Joe at this PR company. The worst they can do. Why'd you bring those people to me? Or they might go, wow, Keith, these guys are fantastic. I would never known them on my own. Thanks for showing me. No, being an independent outlet in the gaming genre, or the game industry, I should say, excuse me, is rough. It's rough because you have to worry about where your money's coming from as far as revenue. Ad revenue is low. You got Google always changing their algorithm, and one moment you're doing great, next moment you're like, wow, what happened to my ad revenue? I'm not doing anything. You got to fight SEO and then changing SEO. You've got to fight larger sites that take something that maybe you were doing great in, and now they're doing it. And then you also have to fight larger sites that pretty much get all the information day one. Like a great example, and I'm just going to say, like, for example, IGN and their coverage of the summer games. They hosted the game show. They hosted the show themselves. They kept all the information. Last year, we took a video that they ran, and they hit us up and told us to take it down because it belonged to them. I'm like, it's a game that you didn't develop, but you announced it, but it belongs to you. How does that work? I don't understand how it is, but this industry for independent sites is just terrible. You're either trying to get your foot in the door, or you're trying to work with somebody, or maybe you do work with somebody and eventually they ghost you, or again, you try and work with people that are larger than you that don't have the time of day for you. You know,
yeah.
It's terrible. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've had your share of run-ins with people that just don't want to deal with you, and it's not cool.
I mean, that's why you're here amongst some of the other amazing guests that I've had on the show in the past, because my primary objective when I bring guests on the show is mostly to help other people get a voice. You know, I want a tit for tat, scratch my back, scratch your back. There's obviously, I'm trying to help you by bringing my audience to you and maybe a little bit of your audience to me. You know, it's all about helping each other out. The whole idea is I want to create as much positivity and diversity within the space for gaming culture and just the love of games. The weird toxic kind of mentality that you're referring to is just, it's something that just baffles me and it escapes me. Like,
and it just keeps coming. It just keeps coming. And
you're
right. We do need more diversity in this space. We definitely do. We definitely need a lot more positivity. And where is it? Where is it?
The negativity sells. That's the sad thing. Negativity, toxicity, hyperbole. That's what people want. That's what they actually will go to over positivity. It'll always win.
You're right.
Sadly,
you're absolutely right. YouTube is a prime example of that. Prime example. You'll make a great video about something that's positive, then somebody will make a video about yelling and screaming into the void about something that is dumb. Starfield pronouns. Did we really need that? It literally told you right there, my man. Why did you do that?
It kills me how there's always a group of people that jump on games now when there's any inclination about gender diversity. Like, can you just stop? Like, I'm so sick and tired of that. And like, it hit me hard. What was it last year when Psychonauts 2 came out and people tried to say that Psychonauts 2 had this gay agenda because there was gay characters in it. Like, oh my God, like, can we just move on? Can we be done with this yet? Like, yes, these are things that exist. It doesn't make a difference
what it is. It doesn't make a difference what it is. Video games, comics, movies. So I'm like, I don't care. This guy's gay. Guess what? I don't care. I don't care.
How does this affect the story at all? How does this affect the gameplay? How does this make this game less fun?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not to divert off what you were talking about, but yeah, it's very frustrating to see this happening into a space that I love. And it just it gets you so mad at times. You're like, why am I even here anymore? When people always have to find something to complain about, constantly complain about. Like, dude, just relax. It didn't do anything. You're talking about the game is dull, that they have no ideas, blah 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 blah, and yet you got like 8 videos playing the game. So obviously it's not dull because you're playing it. So what was that? Oh, I just needed to be more toxic to get more people to follow my stuff. Well, if that was the case, you succeeded, and there goes another prime example.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something that came up to recently because I was talking to someone else within our group of Immortals. They asked me, how are you enjoying Immortals? I'm like, oh, it's great. I love this game. And they're like, well, I heard it's not doing so good. Like the sales are really bad. And I'm like, that doesn't surprise me, honestly, because I don't expect a lot of people to jump on this game. But then the worst part of it was the amount of just public, like the hyperbole within YouTube and Twitter and reviews of people saying like, oh, this game's worse than Forspoken. It's terrible. And I'm like, this is a bandwagon thing. People jump on this bandwagon of shitting on something that they have no knowledge about. And that's what becomes the known factor. Everyone else sees it from the outside. They look, from the external point of view, and they see all this negativity, and they just assume that that's the case. They just assume, oh, this must be bad, without taking an actual critical perspective of their own. And that frustrates me to no end, that people won't bother to look beyond the wall of garbage.
Because you're right. Like you said, there's a bandwagon and people just want to jump on bandwagons. It's cool to jump on a bandwagon. Why? Why is it cool? Try something yourself. You'll never know if you like it or not. Just give it a try. And if you tried it and you didn't like it, then you can say, okay, I didn't like it. Okay, great. Then you tried it. Fantastic.
God, it sounds like me talking to my daughter to eat food. Just try it.
Just try it.
Thinking about that as many times I told my kids, try it. God, don't want to try it. I don't want it.
Not any of this like touching it with your tongue bullshit. Like you actually have to take a bite. You need to chew it. You need to swallow it. Then
what makes me mad about that is I had an issue with my daughter trying to eat potatoes when she was younger. She's like, I'm not going to eat it. Blah. But then a friend came over and she's like, watch this, eat this. And then she did it. I was like,
bandwagon.
I've been trying to get you to try this for how long? He comes over and he eats. You eat it because he eat it. Whatever, kid. You should go home with him. I'm done with you. But she's still here.
All right. I want to give these guys a chance. Like, Josh, how do you feel on this situation? What is your take?
I mean, it's what it is. I mean, there's going to be people that's going to hate things regardless. It's in sports, wrestling, movies. People are going to say, I hate it. Have you even watched it? No. Okay, cool. Why do you hate it then? Because my friend hated it. So if your friend tells you to jump off the bridge, are you going to jump off the bridge? So yeah, no, people are going to be them. People are weird. People are dumb. So that's what it is. That's how I see it.
I know Mike Timmons here has definitely got some thoughts on that, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I mean, you could talk about it without, giving away too much of some of the stuff you're working on right now. But I know if you want to share some of your thoughts.
Yeah, it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, try it. How do you know? And it's like, give it an honest shot, don't just like start it up and like watch the opening. Like, don't like get into the first hour, because like a lot of things start out slow. It's like the character building and like the story building and all that. Like it takes time to do that. You're not just jumping into something and everything is just in your face for, 80 hours and then it's done. Like it's got a stew.
Like Death Stranding, that took a bit.
That took like 37 hours in a 45-hour game. I don't count that one.
No. If you can get past like the first 2 hours, you're golden.
I don't know. I put a good 15 to 20 hours in the Death Stranding, and then I'm like, I'm bored and just stop playing.
I got to the part where you get like the first vehicle. It's like that little motorcycle thing that you steal from that camp or whatever. And I'm just like, what? Okay, so now I can just get around faster. I'm still just getting around. Like, what am I doing here?
Well, any game will have its ups and downs for different people, There's always the different.
But see, I'm also not trying to tell people not to play it. And like, if that's your thing, that's your thing. I didn't have fun with it. I'm glad you did. But like, that's the whole point of video games. Like if they were just made for one crowd, they would all be the same game.
That's why there's so many games. There's something out there for everybody.
Yeah.
Because any one person could be like, I really like this game, but I wish it was like this. I'm going to make my own version of that game, but I'm going to make it like this. So they're fitting, a different perspective or a different take, which I can use that to segue into talking about Armored Core 6, which we already touched on a little bit. Because Armored Core 6 is exactly that. It took an established franchise and it sprinkled in a little bit of different genre elements that FromSoft had been doing and basically becoming the king of its own genre that it developed. And they did something special with Armored Core 6, where they added some elements of a Dark Souls or a Souls-like, but not all of them. And they still kept the mech action to like top-notch, like really intense, really like super hyper customizable. And I've been really enjoying it. Keith, you've already mentioned that you've actually beaten the game already, which I'm a little jealous of because I haven't had the time to beat it. Most recently, the last time I played it, I got stuck on a boss and I went through that process of, okay, I need to figure out what it is to beat this boss. Because you said it, and that's kind of like the Souls mechanic there, where it's like you hit a boss that's really hard and it just kind of whoops your butt. But then it's a matter of, what am I not doing that I need to do to beat this boss?
It's so funny, right? Because everybody was in that same position. It's like, this is one boss. They kicked everybody's butt, the same boss. And then a couple of days later, watch this. I killed this guy in 20 seconds. Like,
yeah, but how many times did you have to die before you figured out how to do that? Like
that right there. How many times did it take you to fight this guy before you realize I'm doing something wrong? And then once you got past that boss, they're like, oh, here's this great weapon that you can use and go back and nuke everybody. I mean, there's a reason why there's so many videos on YouTube doing the same thing I mentioned. Watch me nuke this boss in a couple seconds flat. But you couldn't do it until you beat him. Mm-hmm. He was the gateway. And that's that Souls DNA right there. I do love the fact that you can go back and retry any level. That's something I wish Dark Souls had. You couldn't go back and fight that boss until you beat the game. Like, all right, I'm going to fight the boss. I'm going to do New Game Plus to go fight him. Here's like, oh, you want to retry that level? Go for it. Have fun. Knock yourself out. I
love that the game does that it gives you the option to replay levels, and it incentivizes them by adding a reward with credits too. So it's like you get like an initial payoff, and then every time you play it again, you get like half of the initial payoff. And it's not a lot, but still it's like, oh, I can keep replaying this. I can keep looking for more. I can try to like get the best time. I can try to get a better rank. And I love that they give you that option. Not to mention you can try to test different builds on your armored cores because you can just go nuts with custom builds. And that rank is really great because, again, it incentivizes you to go back. And it's like, I want the S plus, or I want the S rank. I want the S rank. I got beat. All right, I need the S rank. Oh, I got to restart. Nope, I'm going to restart this level all over again. I need that rank. It does nothing for you, but it's like, I did this.
Mm-hmm. It looks good.
It looks good. Exactly.
Yeah. Do you guys have any history with Armored Core?
I haven't played since Armored Core 2.
But you have played
Armored Core 3 by PS1. Ooh, so far away.
Cool.
We are enemies. Me and Armored Core series. We are friends, but we were enemies.
Frenemies.
Yeah, I technically don't have a lot of history with the series myself. I only ever played Armored Core 4, like when that first hit Xbox, and that was ages ago. And I remember playing a little bit, but not a lot. And then over the years, I've been keeping my eye on the series and I've been wanting to get into it. And then, of course, when they announced Armored Core 6, I was like, oh, I got all hot and bothered for Armored Core again. So I went back and played a little bit of 4. I picked up a copy of 5. And you can see how much they've changed the game over the years. I've seen gameplay and footage from the old Armored Cores. And it's like, man, those look way more like super methodical and slow paced and like heavy strategy, but it's still an action game. Is that a correct assumption on my part? Is that how you guys remember it?
That is.
I don't remember it.
I haven't played enough.
The funny thing about Armored Core 6 compared to the other games is like now the story is back. The story was always a big part of Armored Core series. The lore was always a big part of the series. But now you have the gameplay that's pretty much like, all right, look, your job is to fight the next boss or the next AC. These guys in your way in this mission, that's just to fill the time. Yeah, that is literally it.
There's a lot of fodder of like easy things that just blow up. And then you get to like an AC or a boss and you're like, well, this is the game. This is the fight right here.
Like what was it? Which boss was in Armored Core 6? You beat the attack helicopter. And of course, that was the first one. Like, oh my God, I can't beat this guy.
Yeah, just an attack helicopter, like the heavy chopper. You're like, what the hell? This chopper is hard as hell.
Yep. And then you beat him, and then you go on to the next one where you go to the dam or the station, and then you fight this one AC. And you're like, I can't beat this AC. He's killing me. And then you finally beat him and go, all right, I beat it. And it's like, well, now you got to fight a boss. But wait, that wasn't the boss? And then you just sit there I sat there for hours. My wife was coming downstairs like, are you okay? No, I'm not okay. This guy's kicking my ass. Good times.
That was me. The last boss I got to in the game was, it was the like big garbage cleaner sweeper thing. It was like a big street sweeper with these giant like blender arms.
Yeah.
And if it hit you once with the arms, it was like, it would do like a half of your health. And I was like,
it reminded me of the boss from Dark Souls 3. Now my mind is going away. The dancer, because he's so slow, but he does so much damage, and he'll catch you easily if you're not paying attention. It's like, this guy's not going to catch me. And then he catches you, and it's like, oh my God, I'm dead. What the hell happened?
Like, damn. That was one of the times too, like I was on my second attempt at that boss, and it was like right then that my 6-year-old walks in the room like, Daddy, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, when I play games like that, my family was like, yep, Daddy's got this game. That's not going there and bother him right now.
Yeah, not a good time right now.
I walk in the room and I go, all right, work it out. I'm out. See ya.
Yeah, I've definitely been enjoying the game. It's definitely a FromSoft game in its heart, but like, I love the presentation. It does that FromSoft thing too, where it kind of like drip feeds you little bits of story in very subtle ways, and the mission structure is kind of all over the place. And I remember, I spent a good couple of hours with the game, and I'm like, what even am I doing? Like, who am I? Why am I here? And then it starts throwing more information and cutscenes, especially after you start actually fighting bosses in the game. And I was like, oh, okay, shit's starting to get real and like coming together. And that's where it really started to hook me.
Yeah, that's see, and that's another thing about Armored Core 6 I really like, because if you played the other From Software games, they weren't good in terms of telling the story. Outside of the other Armored Core games, the Dark Souls game, even Elden Ring, Bloodborne, they would drip feed you story, or you still have to go outside the game and ask somebody, I don't understand what this means. What's going on here? Oh, it's this, that, and this, and that. Oh, but here it's telling you everything exactly. You know who you kind of know who you are. You know who these other characters are. You know what you're told to do. The greatest thing about this game is the chatter, the comms chatter.
The comms chatter is pretty great.
It's great. You're even people that you don't even know. They're like, oh, this new guy is joining up with us. Who does this guy think? And it's back and forth, and they're just talking. It's great. It's great. I will definitely say that this is probably one of the best games From Software has done, and I want to see them do more. And I'm a big fan of Elden Ring.
Hold up. It's Bloodborne.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate about Bloodborne. Yeah.
I have noticed that, though, especially about From Software, is each one of their games like attracts a certain crowd. So it's like, even though, 3 of them might be exactly the same, say like I like Bloodborne more than Dark Souls, or, you like, Sekiro more than Elden Ring or something. It's just like even though there's a lot of similarities between all of them, everyone has their favorite for whatever reason.
I feel like the best thing with Armored Core in that perspective is that it still separates itself enough. Like I don't feel like I'm playing Bloodborne with robots or Dark Souls with robots. I feel like I'm playing a damn good Gundam game with hard ass bosses.
There you go.
Like,
tell me this. How many times you just sit there and just dash around and fly in the sky, doing nothing but just dashing? See, it's great stuff right there.
The one thing that I got to throw this out there too, when I really started to get the feel for the movement in the game and how to pilot and how to move around, and like by the third or fourth stage, and I was doing that where I'm like zipping around and just dashing and zipping, I started thinking about one of my favorite mech games of all time, Zone of the Enders.
Yes.
And I straight up, I turned Armor Core off. I booted up Zone of the Enders and I started playing Zone of the Enders. And I'm like, aha, okay. Now I'm like, I had to have this like a little bit of a take back moment and go back to Zone of the Enders and get the comparison, because Zone of the Enders has really fast, intense, and like precise action that focuses on melee combat. Where on the flip side, Armor Core, the melee combat is secondary. It's there and it's very powerful, but it's not a primary method in most cases.
Now here you come with one of my issues with this game. The fact that melee takes a back seat. The fact that I can't equip 2 melee weapons on left and right. It's like, no, you can only use your left weapon. That is garbage. Let me have a mech that can tear apart everything using my melee weapons. You have the melee weapons in the game. Let me use them. Nah, you're not using left arm. Screw you, buddy.
Yeah.
And you got a cooldown. And you got a cooldown too.
I was just going to say, like, there's a really long delay on them, and you can only get X amount of swings in depending on which version of the beam sword you're using. And it's like you said, why can't I just like dual wield beam swords and just go ham on somebody with it? Because there's the risk reward factor in Armored Core, where if you're a close range fighter, melee or guns, regardless, there's a risk to that because you're putting yourself in a much more hazardous scenario to like rush the enemy and just get all up in their face. But it's fun. Like, let me do it.
And they've got all these weapons to let you do it. They've got the generators or the perks that benefit you if you're close range. Like, okay, great, I can get close range with shotguns and tear stuff apart. But wouldn't it be even more fun if I could just get close with a melee weapon and smack people in the face? Then again, I guess it could also be overpowered, because I've seen some melee weapons that are very overpowered.
I mean, that was kind of my strategy for the first couple of missions, where you start with the beam sword and then you can do the 2 swing out of it. And that's like you get the 2 swings. But my strategy was usually like laying into a guy with the rockets and the rifle and missiles until I hit the stagger point, and then run in there with a sword and just rip into him, because it would do a buttload of damage if you hit him while they were staggered.
Do you have the weapon box yet?
What do you mean weapon box? Like to
the
switch
weapon
out weapons?
Box is one of the plugins, yeah.
I haven't used it yet, but I haven't.
You should get that. The weapon box is great because it lets you equip. So you have your 2 hand weapons, and then you can also equip 2 other hand weapons
and switch them out.
Back. Right. So you like 2 shotguns, boom. Then it's like, all right, boom. Then it's all right, boom, and you just keep going.
Yeah, I haven't tried that type of build yet. You can just quad shotguns all.
Yeah, you just shoot and then you go in the back, you pull the other one, shoot the time the other ones are done recharging, you just pull them out and shoot them again. It's so cheap.
Nice. I'll have to try that. I've been enjoying the Tetra build, like the 4 spider leg type deals that they can hover.
A little slow for me.
They're a little slow, but if you focus on the hover ability and you build them out with a lot of like heavy explosive damage. Yeah, you just hover and just lay into dudes with rockets and missiles, and you'll melt someone's health pretty fast.
And that's the great thing about this game. There's just so many different possibilities and strategies you can do. Mm-hmm. But you also don't have any sniper weapons. So like, what's the deal with that? I kind of wanted a sniper rifle. There's no sniper rifle, so
maybe DLC, maybe add-ons.
Maybe might mod that. I don't know, but yeah, I can sit here and talk about this game all day. I'm sorry, guys. It's such an amazing game. It is. It really is. It's a Mecha's fan's wet dream. That is it right there. It's a darn shame that we don't get many mecha games in North America, and the ones that we do get are half baked or they get killed off very quick.
Like the last Gundam online game, they got shut down.
Yep,
and that was really fun and good. Yeah,
And then of course, like, so we got this Armored Core 6 game coming, and you're gonna play that instead of this. Thanks, bye. You're gonna PvP in that instead of this. Thanks, bye. That's exactly what they did.
I mean, I'm still over here weeping that we never got a Zone of the Enders 3 and we never will now, but
yeah,
that is what it is. There was a point in time where Zone of the Enders 3 was one of my most anticipated games, and then as soon as Kojima hit the bricks from
he was like, I'm out by.
It's like, yeah, that's
I
not
want to make my own studio.
There was hope when they released that Zone of Enders 2 collector's edition. I was like, all right, maybe they'll make them do it. And then I bought that, and they were like, no, we were just trying to see if you guys were going to buy this again. Thanks.
Yeah, it's just a cash grab for Konami.
You guys suck. Thanks for
give it a couple more years. We'll come out with Zone of the Survivors or some stupid shit.
Oh, dear God, don't do that.
Please no.
What is this new Metal Game gear? What Kojima's not even attached? What is this guard? Oh no. What is this? And then it died out really quick.
Sadly,
you want an extra character? You have to pay $2. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that note of not enough mecha games, we need more mecha games. Let's change it up, and we're gonna switch into the fisticuffs, the fighties, the punchies.
Yeah.
By that I mean Tekken.
Of Iron Fist.
That's the one. Tekken 8, and I assume everyone else is hyped for that game because I like Tekken, but I'm usually not one of the people like I haven't jumped on a Tekken game since Tekken 5. That was like the last big one that like grabbed
5
me.
was good.
I played the heck out of Tekken 5.
Was good.
But yeah, I did play Tekken 7 quite a bit, especially after these two gentlemen pulled me in on it. And I played a fair bit with them. And then Keith and I got talking, and he mentioned Tekken 8 and how pumped he is for it. So I was like, let's talk about Tekken. So,
oh man, I cannot wait. It's coming out a lot sooner than I thought it was.
Didn't it get delayed?
No, it wasn't delayed. They never announced a release date.
Yeah, this is the initial release date is January 24th.
Gotcha.
It is marked on my calendar. I'm like, as soon as this game comes out, I've got it pre-ordered in like 3 different places.
3 different places?
Yeah, well, I pre-ordered it from GameStop, and then I have it pre-ordered digitally on the PSN, so I don't have to wait for it. And then I'm gonna pre-order the like Ultimate Collector's Edition from Namco.
Oh, geez.
I went crazy. I did the same thing with Final Fantasy VII Remake too. I bought it digital. I have it on PS4, PS5. I got the big collector's edition. Some games, they'll make me lose my mind like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of games that do that for me as well.
So do you think Tekken is like the best of the fighting genre?
Those are fighting words. I don't know.
That could be definitely a fighting word. As Keith
you know
said.
what?
I'm basing this off the fact that he has pre-ordered the game 3 times.
I'm gonna say, I mean, like I said earlier, it's a matter of opinion. I think so because of gameplay. I don't like the light attack, medium attack, heavy attack. I don't like how one button is all of your punches and the other button is all of your kicks. I like how in Tekken each button controls a limb, which means like you actually have to like think about what you're going to do. You can't just wail on one button and do 17 different combos. Like you actually have to kind of like practice with a little bit.
The one button masher.
Now, of course, they do cater to those who don't want to learn, and there are some characters that you can just use 2 buttons and win a fight because all they do is spin around on the floor. Like they're not,
I know who you're talking about.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for Eddie. I was waiting for that.
Like they're not. Well, if I say exclusive, I mean it like as the opposite of inclusive. Like they are inclusive to like all different, they're inclusive to people who play video games in different ways. Like
you're talking about like casuals versus full-timer kind of thing.
Yeah. And so I will say, yes, it is the better fighter in the genre.
To put a little extra perspective on that, because I know, Timmons, you play a lot of fighting games, if not all of them, because I also know you play Mortal Kombat. I know you play King of Fighters. We were actually going to play some King of Fighters, but haven't got around to it yet.
Yeah.
like you pretty much play any and all fighting games, but you kind of you prefer Tekken, is what you're saying.
I wasn't a fan of Soul Calibur.
What?
For whatever reason.
All of them?
I mean, I like
Soul Calibur 2 a lot. Soul Calibur 2 was my favorite.
I liked 4 and Broken Destiny. But then I
think
tried
2 is the only one that I played.
I tried 6 and I for whatever reason it just didn't stick with me.
It was 1 and 2. 1 because it was special because it came out on the Dreamcast, and I played the hell out of that game. Played the hell out of that game. I also used to work in an arcade, so I used to play a lot of that. Plus, it was special to me because my late brother and I played a lot of Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast. And he would always try and beat me. He could never win. But then there'll be those times like, all right, I'll let him win. I kicked your ass. Like,
yeah,
sure
did.
1 out of 20.
Yeah,
right?
you did.
I mean, the rule of averages, you had to beat me once, I guess.
To keep it fair.
So what's your history with Tekken then, Josh?
Started with Tekken 3 back in Japan when I lived there, when my dad was with military. The arcade scenes was still big, and I loved playing arcade cabinets all the time. So Tekken 3 was there, then 4, then 5. Then I moved all the way back to the US. And, kept on playing until college, until Tekken 6 was the main thing in college where I was just the king of Iron Fist in that school. And then I remember it's like, shit, I got to study for an exam. Got to stop playing this for a bit. Then 7 came up. 7 was,
yes.
It fixed everything that I hated on 6. I hated the rage mode or the rage gauge. I think the rage was like broken in 6 in my opinion. But they fixed it on 7.
I mean, that was like in Tekken 6, like they didn't. That was the introduction of rage, right? 6.
Yeah.
But like it didn't do anything like terribly special. Like your attacks did a little more damage. Like
it was a bit broken on some of the characters, like some of the power moves. Like you can get one hit when someone's in rage mode.
So
they know a really good combo.
So Tekken
talking
8,
about the Pauls and the Bryans who just have that one power hit that's going to take down half your health.
Thanks for the bad memories. Holy crap. Yeah.
Right. So Tekken 8's going to have this new heat mode, right? Like heat gauge.
Yep.
How is that different from rage?
So from what I've read, it's more offensive. So people that don't usually block, it gets like a different fighting style, so to speak, from what I'm hearing. So like with some of the characters that you don't normally play, like Paul, if I started playing with Paul, use the heat gauge, I might be better, but I don't know. That's what I've heard and read about.
You can also activate it at any point in the fight.
Yes.
Is it one of those things where it's like once per round, once per match?
Yeah, I think it's once per round, and it's for like 10 seconds. It lasts.
It's 10 seconds unless you're offensive. You'll prolong it.
Yeah, I did see something that my first take on it made it look like it basically just makes you a lot faster and more aggressive. But you guys are making it sound more like it can kind of change a character's entire play style almost.
It can. So it depends on what you played because they changed it because people were complaining about it.
Is that like from the beta?
I don't know which beta it was. I didn't get a chance to play the network test. One of my buddies did, and of course he sucks at Tekken, but he played it. They just gave me the gold thanks for nothing. So
yeah, the only beta that I've watched was with Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed from Up Up Down Down. That's pretty much when I was watching his beta. I'm just seeing what he plays with his king.
So what are you guys most excited about with Tekken 8 coming up?
The fact that it's Tekken 8. I mean, exactly. Tekken 7 came out in 2015. We're like, here's Street Fighter 5, here's Street Fighter. Oh, we got a new Tekken game finally.
Here's Dead or Alive 6. Here's Soul Calibur 6. Here's
don't get me on Dead or Alive because that's
King of Fighters 15.
Yeah, it was like Rod was like, we're just gonna take our time, but we want a new Tekken game. We're done with Tekken. You'll wait. You'll get it when I'm ready. Of course, Harada likes to troll people because it's what he does. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully my character, Nina, who I've been using ever since the first one, will be not much of a scrub anymore. It kind of sucks that people don't play her because she's not very good. She is, but if you want to win a tournament, you don't pick Nina.
They let her use her guns in this one.
Yeah, right. That was the first thing I said. It's like, wait, she's using guns. What is going on here? That's crazy.
Didn't Nina have her own whole game?
Yeah, it was
terrible.
Death by Degrees.
Pretty bad.
It was
Pretty
very bad.
I heard it was terrible. I didn't want to play it, but
Hey, Hachi got a cameo.
really?
He did.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I think it's time for me to switch up my character. I don't know. I liked her. I do like her because she's fast, but she's not as strong. But she also has her mini grapples as well.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, that's it. I mean, if you want to grapple, then I guess you go play King.
That is kind of the downside of like a heavy esports game is like there's going to be the certain characters that stand out for the meta when it comes to esports. And if a character isn't very good when it comes to tournaments, they're probably going to get shunned to the wayside.
All hell Ken, who is now like one of the tops of Street Fighter now.
Oh, Ken is.
I've always you want to win a tournament, you pick Ken now. Everybody's like, Ken's a scrub, all the other Street Fighters. No, he's not. Everybody's picking him in 6. They're like, what's going on? He's not a scrub anymore.
Back in the day, Ken was my boy, but I haven't played Street Fighter 6 other than the demo so far. But I loved Ken back in the day. Ken used to be my boy.
I've always used him. He's my main because it's Ken Masters and it's Keith Mitchell. It's like, oh, we got the same initials. You're my character now.
My little brother was the same way with Tekken back in the day because it's Paul.
Paul.
I'm in the game. I'm using this guy. All right.
Do you guys remember who ended up being my main in Tekken 7?
Bob.
Fucking Bob.
Was it I'm also excited like what kind of goofy guest character that's going to be in there, because I was a fan of Negan. I love playing Negan.
I like Noctis.
Really?
Like once you get him figured out, like he's pretty diverse. Like especially since they let him use his magic too, so like you don't have to be like right up on somebody. So it's like if someone's like trying to stay away and like be all defensive, like you can hit them from halfway across the screen, and it's like you're in this now. Like you're going to fight this round whether you like it or not. You're not, because it's either that or let the time run out, and I'm gonna win either way. So get in here.
Speaking of guest characters, is there any like dream guest characters you would like to see come to Tekken 8?
Honestly, I've never been a fan of the guest characters, and given the fact that there's like so many people already in Tekken 8, Tekken 8. It's like, who do we need anymore? They've got this catalog. Actually, you know what? If they did give a guest character, can we bring Roger back, please?
Roger would be great.
The kangaroo
or Gon.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like
Gon. Gon. That was a licensing issue.
Oh, I can believe that.
It's like he's a character from like this like old Japanese comic book or something, and they were like, yeah, you can use him for this game, and then that's it. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll use it while we can, and then that's it.
Well, it also brings back like what I missed on 7 that I hope they bring back in 8. Like I like the goofy endings for each character.
Yeah.
Like I understand that they're going with the cinematic story mode, like with the last one and this one, but I really hope they bring back some of the endings because some of them were goofy and hilarious. Like I want to play this character so I can see the ending.
Like
that's
Paul
what the previous games were.
Like Paul doing a backflip and landing on his face.
Exactly. Or just or the OG where he gets pulled over by a cop and kicked dirt on him for a second ticket.
Yep.
I know for me, like Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection was my jam, and I was hooked on that game, especially because of the customizations, the earning currencies to buy customizations. I know they kept that alive in Tekken 7, so I'm always good with all that stuff. But I also see they're adding like this new single player story mode that's called Arcade Quest. Do we know much about this, or just that little snippet that was in that recent trailer that they put out?
Just what they put out.
Yeah, that's all I know.
Is this supposed to be like Tekken 6 a little bit, like how that story mode worked?
Mm.
I think it's just kind of like an online hub kind of thing. kind of like how they did in Dragon Ball Fighter Z, where it's just like, you have like this character that you can run around a lobby and get into like fights with other people that are just kind of there.
Okay.
Maybe that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I was wondering that because in the trailer you don't see a whole heck of a lot, but it looks like you can make like a very Xbox style avatar. Like, they literally look like Xbox 360 avatars. And then you can run around some sort of 3D virtual world, not too different from a recent fighting game. Good credit to Keith that pointed this out to me. Like, it looks like they're echoing what they did with Street Fighter 6 with the hub worlds.
It does. It totally does. I mean, like you mentioned, I was mentioning, Dragon Ball Fighters did it. DNF Duel, I think the updated one did it. I haven't played DNF Duel in quite some time because the game is completely broken. There was another Arc System game that did the same thing. Was it Grand Blue versus?
I haven't played that one.
I can't remember. But yeah, it just totally feels like, people say that Tekken or Bandai Namco knew exactly what Street Fighter or Capcom was doing. I was like, maybe they were thinking along the same lines. Because, I mean, other games have done this. These are the two biggest games that have not done this. So why not? Street Fighter has its quests mode, which for the story, which is it's all right. Then you have the whole thing around the battle hub, which is goofy. I don't think most serious players deal with that. We just jump into a versus match. So, but it's interesting to see what this is that they're bringing us to the table. But I really wish they would give us more information about it. And they think they're just saving it. I mean, then again, we've got what do we have coming up now? I think we got the Tokyo Game Show, right? I think that's the next one we have.
As far as actual like opportunities to see the game.
Yeah. So the Tokyo Game Show is end of this month. So we should see more about that.
Yeah, if they give it more insight, because I will say that kind of like as a more of a casual fighter game fan now than I used to be. Like back in high school, I was all about fighting games. That's almost exclusively what I played. But like the draw of Street Fighter 6's new single player mode, where you're kind of like you make a fighter and you run around fighting other people, like it's more of an RPG. That works for me as a more of a casual player because I'm not going to jump online. I'm not going to try and fight people online because I don't want to get my ass kicked by strangers online anymore like I used to when I was a teenager. I can still remember playing Guilty Gear X2 on the original Xbox online and being like, yeah, I'm a badass because I can beat people. Or Mortal Kombat Deceptions puzzle mode.
And see, that's the problem with fighting games. I mean, it's great with fighting games, but it's also the problem why fighting games are still considered very niche. Because what you just said, a lot of people don't, or a lot of casuals, the people they like to bring into the game, they're trying to bring into the game, they don't want to go online, get their ass kicked and go, all right, I'm done playing this game, I'm not going to play it again. Especially if you jump in and play Street Fighter 6 now or Tekken 7 now, you'll just fight somebody, it'll just juggle you, OTG you again, wall bouncing, like, all right, I'm dead. Let me just go.
Who does that?
Yeah, put me out of my misery.
We don't know anybody here who does that.
So,
excuse me.
I mean, that's every fighting game. Come on, that is every fighting game out there. And I've been there. I mean, I'm older now, and I was at the point where I was like, you know what, I don't want to play fighting games anymore. But I jumped back into Street Fighter 6, and I played Tekken 7. I used to play it nonstop, not so much anymore, because I liked it more when friends came over and played with me, but they stopped coming over because I kept beating them. So I should probably stop doing it.
Gotta let them win once in a while.
They suck at the game. I hope they see
that's why the only person who offline will even play Tekken with me is my little brother.
Yeah, when I play with Tekken with Timmons, he'll let me win a match or two here and there to keep my gusto up, and then he'll be like, "Hey, can I show you something?" I'm like, "Sure," and then he just like obliterates me, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, so that's what it's really like to fight you."
There's 70% of your health gone in one combo.
I remember Austin Creed was actually in St. Louis at the time. After a show, he came into one of the arcade bars, and we were playing Tekken 5. And, I try to do the heelish move in wrestling where it's like, oh, yeah, go easy on me. Please, this is something new. I beat him like first round. I was like, oh, so you're going to play me like that? And then he humbled me like 3 straight games after that with King. I was like, well, I learned my lesson not to be a smart ass on this.
I used to make money on the Tekken Tag 2. No, it was the first Tekken Tag. One of my local malls had a cabinet, and I would make money. People like, what are you like, 12? You can't be that good at this game. And I'm just like, I bet you $1 I'll beat your ass. And it's like, okay, I'll take that. And then they'd always be like, double or nothing. Be like, okay, dude, let's do this.
Yeah, there are a lot of money matches out there. People walk away with stacks of cash.
I walked in with like $5 just so I could play, and walked out with like 40. I was like, okay, I'm set.
About that, like running like a Tekken hustle at the arcade or something.
They kept coming. So, I mean,
there's that thing where if you beat enough people, people want to come and beat you.
Yeah, they want to try.
And it's like, all right, cool.
The full draw of like esports essentially at this point, isn't it? With tournament fighters and things. You got to beat the guy who's got the record or holds the belt.
Yep.
Now you got to beat the guy. You got to beat the guy because you want that $1 million.
There's that too.
There you go.
Yeah, the money is definitely that's incentive.
And then 50% goes to the tax man. 500,000.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Like, I went all this, but no, you don't get to walk away with $1 million. What do you mean? Yup, you're going to get taxed, bro.
That's why I don't play the lottery much either.
Before we close out tonight, what exactly for you guys? Like, you already said like Tekken 8. Yeah, we got a new Tekken, but like, what's different? What's new besides just new Tekken?
About Tekken specifically,
Tekken
or just
8,
like any?
Is there anything big new with the game?
I did notice that they're kind of combining some characters. Like, I don't know, like Josh, you probably would have been able to pick this out too. Is like Hwoarang is using more Bex moves now because he's like a master. He's like a Taekwondo master now, so he knows more at this point. So he's starting to use some of his older master's moves. Like that's intriguing to me.
That could be based on the heat gauge as well.
Yeah.
And then I know they brought back what's supposedly quote unquote dead character from the series.
Yeah.
Jin Kazuma, which
Jun Kazama.
And she's supposed to play just like close to Asuka since they have the same style. So that could be my number 2 character. Maybe.
Now I noticed Raven was
yeah, he's back, but he just disappeared.
Okay.
Like Wesley Snipes in real life.
I didn't understand the switch from like there was a male Raven, then a female Raven.
Yeah, but Raven, then Master Raven, then.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to try and explain it somehow, like, oh, he was away on mission or some shit. I don't know, but I mean, it was basically like the female, the Master Raven, was basically just a reskin. It
pretty much.
She still played exactly the same way.
And like Tekken goes on with their whole thing where they're saying like the longest running storyline in video game history. Like, isn't it just the same thing over and over again where like the father and the son fighting?
Is it? I mean,
fighting
and fighting. I would give that to Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I would probably slide that with Mortal Kombat.
I think I saw that on Tekken's website. Call me out on this, but I could have sworn I saw it on there. They were like, "We got the longest running storyline in video game history." But like, I think Mortal Kombat.
I mean, Mortal Kombat. It got up to Mortal Kombat 11, and then we got a new Mortal Kombat. So 12, not counting the spinoffs. Yeah,
but that's the thing though, is that like this particular storyline for Mortal Kombat has only been running since MK9. Like that's when it kind of like rebooted, kind of.
And you could say the same thing for Tekken. Like they actually went focus on the story since like start of Tekken 6 when they actually started when they had that on the storyline.
They had that scenario campaign that you could run through with Lars, and
which is a fun character too.
He's complicated. I can't figure that dude out.
Fighting games and storylines. Who would have thought that would be a thing, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like
when it's punching, kick, and do special moves. Now we got this drawn out cinematic. Wow, what's going on? And we got movies about them now as well. Okay, all right, fighting games. I see you.
I still actually need to watch the Netflix show.
Oh, right. I forgot they did a Netflix show on Tekken, and I heard it was good.
It's pretty good, yes.
Yeah. And then we got the off the wall Twisted Metal. Who thought I would get a Twisted Metal TV series?
Yo, but it's good too.
It is.
I keep hearing that too. I need to check that one out.
I just faithful. They're faithful to the series. So we better get a season 2 because they ended it was like, now we're getting the tournament.
That Easter egg was great.
Oh, wait, that was a show? I thought it was a movie.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
am I
it's a
thinking
TV
show? Or am I thinking Gran Turismo? Yeah.
Gran Turismo was a movie.
Oh, okay. I want to see a Burnout movie. Since we're doing this, I want to see
what
a Burnout
even
movie.
is a Burnout movie, though? That's like the Need for Speed movie. Like, they made a Need for Speed movie. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. You
Exactly.
might be surprised because I was surprised with Twisted Metal. It's like, how the hell are you going to have a story?
But Twisted
like
Metal
this?
has source material to actually write a story
Does
about.
it, though? Does it?
Enough.
Like, I love how they brought back like a very niche thing from the very first Twisted Metal was Sweet Tooth with a paper bag.
Mm.
So I just want to hear DJ Atomica narrate what's happening. I don't actually care what happens in the movie. I just want to hear DJ Atomica tell me about it.
All I know is the more cross-media gaming content we get that's good, the better, because it's been so long of years and years and years of just any property that was based on a video game was always kind of trash, whenever it's TV shows or movies. But now we've got like good video game movies, good video game TV shows. I'm really glad that that's a thing that we're getting now.
Yeah, that was especially bad with Disney movies, like the video game tie-ins to Disney movies. Like they're basically just following the exact same storyline. So instead of watching it, you were just playing it, but they kept you in the boundaries of the movie.
Well, the video game, or I should say video game adaptations of movies is one beast, but like a TV or movie adaptation of a game that started as a game is another monster. That is going to be another episode of the show, because we have to wrap up for tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight, Keith. Really glad to have you on the show. If you had fun, I'd be happy to have you back on to anytime, sir, to riff on anything, because I'm sure we could get into it on just about any topic. I need to check back in with you when I get done with more Armored Core. Hopefully I'll beat it soonish, but
Armored Core, number one tip: if you get stuck, change out your layout. That is it. Try
a different build for sure. That's usually something that I've noticed has been big and helpful. Yeah. Tips from Keith. All right. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Timmons. And thank you again, Keith, for joining us. This has been Screen Smash. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
See you.
Later.